Hey guys, Kurt from Time Machine Transport. Just driving back over to the shop. I had to buy a new pressure washer for the shop, and I got a little bit of time till I get out to Burlington. So I was listening to some channels this morning about all these protests. This riot, they're saying rioting or whatever, but I don't see the rioting part, but I do see the protesting part. And about this, Palestinian, free Palestine, and anti Jew this, and what are the Zionists and all this stuff. And my wife, her doctor that she works for is Jewish. He's a Jew. He's not like a Hasidic Jew, but he's a great person, great guy. He actually saved my life when I had my massive heart attack. But we also have Palestinian friends. I got, a couple Palestinian friends, Ziad and Nasser, Farhoud, Fatih, Farhoud. Our accountant's Palestinian, so we're neutral on the whole thing, right? I mean, as much as you can be, and as much as you kind of have to be. I mean, it's not, you don't want to side with one side or the other. I just find it very very sketchy that this is happening on a lot of college campuses, right? And I think it's very sketchy how, first off, the mainstream media isn't saying, I mean, they're all about the protesting, right? Free Palestine, Jews good, Palestinians bad, whatever the case is. And I just find it very interesting that the American people, this new protesting it just takes place of what the last protesters were doing with the BLM and the Antifa crowds and the Wade versus Roe or Roe versus Wade, whatever, on the abortion topic or whatever. And it's very interesting how people will come out, and I'm neutral on that as well. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm pro-life, or I really should be pro-life but I don't want to even get into that. But I'm going to stay neutral on that. These people, these knuckleheads, if you will, that are out there protesting, that don't know anything about the situation. They're either, one, getting paid, or two, they just want to stir up controversy and issues and everything else. And I just find it very interesting how the American people and these aren't all American people that are protesting, I'm sure. I don't know for a fact, but I assume that they're not all American people, and maybe some of them are truly, from the two countries, Israel and Palestine. But you see a lot of white people there, right? You see a lot of liberal whites there, whatever the case is. Seems like the liberal whites want to get into everybody's business, right? They were out en masse for, from what I saw on these protests or whatever, a few years back when that, whole thing came out, how, the BLM crowd and this, and there were black folks in there. And I'll be honest, I couldn't imagine. I am so blessed. Or not. I'm blessed to be born a white male in America. I'm very blessed, because everybody else got kind of a raw deal, immigrants and blacks, minorities, women. Just very, very sad. But you see that, if you did a percentage count, it would seem like the percentage count would be higher for whites that had attended all these protests. And however, you know, these people, and whatever. I mean, if you're out there protesting, that's your business. That's your business. However, where were you and why weren't you protesting when it came to putting that thing in your arm? Can't really say it because YouTube, you know, they've already taken down, you know, I wouldn't say, enough of my videos, so several videos. You know, you can't say this, that's not factual, this and that. It's like, I'm getting this from Google. Not that Google's correct, but Facebook, not Facebook. I have a Facebook account, but I don't like going on Facebook. But YouTube and Google are pretty much the same company almost, right? So I'm getting the stuff that I put on videos from Google or from, you know, whatever platform, right? I don't do TikTok. I don't do X, or, you know, formerly Twitter. I don't do Snapchat. I don't do any of that stuff. I got better things to do with my time than just sit there and watch these things. I do go on YouTube quite often. So, I just find it very interesting that these people that are out protesting for countries that, you know, that they have, you know, no interest in, right? They're just out there protesting. Either one, they're getting paid. I don't know. I'm just speculating. Like, why would they be out there protesting for something that's not their business? It's not their business. You know, let the Jewish people and the Palestinian people figure it out. You know, let the BLM crowd figure it out. Let the Antifa crowd figure it out. Don't just go and run with a narrative because your cohorts or your colleagues or your fellow students are saying, yeah, we're going to go out and do this. It's not like it was, you know, back in the 60s and the 70s when they were protesting, you know, the Vietnam War and all this stuff, you know, with innocent men and women being, well, primarily men. I don't know. I'm sure on the Vietnamese side, a lot of women and children were killed, unfortunately, very disgusting. But, you know, the people that were protesting back then, you know, they were like, hey, I don't want my brother, my cousin, my uncle. I don't want even my father, I guess, in some cases. Or maybe in a lot of cases, I don't want my father to die. Whatever the case is, you know, that became their business because their family members or friends were being killed over in Vietnam, and the North Korean War, and so on, Afghanistan War, Iraq. Just, you know, everything. So those protesters, they had something in the game, right? They had blood, sweat, and tears in the game. But this whole Palestinian and Jew thing, unless you are Palestinian or unless you are Jewish, keep your fucking nose out of it. You're out there, but then when it came to them putting that thing in your arm, right? It was crickets, absolute crickets. How, you know, the Wade versus Roe or whatever it was for the abortion stuff. I guess if you were a woman in that case, then you have something into the game, right? But when you're out there spray painting campuses and burning the American flag, all this stuff, what business is that of yours? I could be out there protesting just for Uncle Sam taking our dollars and giving it over to these war-torn countries. You know, same thing with Ukraine. Everybody was on the Ukraine bandwagon, right? And they were out there doing that and this and that. But now that Ukraine's going to be defeated, like they want, you know, Russia wants total, you know, what is it? Capitulation, I think it is, or capitulation. Sorry. Russia wants complete capitulation. So, and now everybody's jumped off of the Ukraine wagon, right? Now they're on the Free Palestine wagon, and, you know, Palestinian good, Jew bad. And which was really interesting because my wife and I are watching that series, The Chosen, about Jesus of Nazareth and his disciples, and it's very very well done. But my wife, hi Sarah, baby girl, I love you. She had mentioned when we were watching one of the episodes, she said, and she says, the Jewish people were God's chosen people, right? They were God's chosen people. And she said, but why is it that the Jewish people, instead of turning the other cheek, like, God wants us to obey His word. You're supposed to turn the other cheek and show, mercy and grace and forgiveness and all this other stuff. Oh shit, really? I went the wrong way, I think. Anyways, so I asked our pastor, Pastor Dean. We belong to Faith Baptist Church, and last Sunday I was asking our pastor, I said, hey pastor, Sarah had this, great question, and he goes, that's actually a really good question. He says, well, God, the current Jewish people, are different than, thousands of years ago. And so they're the ones that, these current ones aren't truly God's chosen people. They're not turning the other cheek. He said, however, it is different because when you're being attacked constantly, God doesn't tell you to turn the other cheek on that. He says, if somebody attacks you, defend yourself, right? He says, but what God means about that is if you're going up to somebody and you're preaching the good word, or you're, what do they call it, when you go out and evangelizing. If you're out there evangelizing and somebody just slaps the complete dog shit out of your face, and they're like, get that shit away from me, whatever the case is, that's what he means by you got to turn the other cheek. You have to show mercy and grace and forgiveness. Okay, that makes sense to me. But you're out there protesting for it seems from everything that I've seen out there that these college kids are that's a false narrative. That's all their responses. That's just a false narrative. That's just a false narrative. That's just a false. Well, then what's the correct narrative? What's the proof? The proof on the character or on the narrative, right? I mean, I don't understand how they can say that. So then these same people that are out there dipping their nose into other countries' business and politics, not one of you were out there protesting for that thing in your arm that was mandatory by our U.S. government, and it wasn't mandatory. Yes, it was mandatory, because if you didn't get it, you couldn't go to work, you couldn't survive, you couldn't support your family, you couldn't survive on not working, whatever the case is. So yes, you were forced to get it, but nobody was out there protesting for that. I mean, we were out at my wife's work, and we were protesting. Well, when I was home, I'd go out there on the weekends or whatever, but she was going out there with her friends and family every weekend saying, no, man, you shouldn't be able to do this. You shouldn't be able to turn down or not accept my religious exemption, right? You shouldn't have done it. That's our right. That's to have a religious exemption. And the government said no, and the hospitals are saying no. So I didn't see that, on all these campuses that they said, well, you have to wear a thing over your face in order to, still go to school or whatever the case is. Or if you are still attending this school, you have to have that thing in your arm, right? And obviously you have YouTube and all these other platforms, these social media platforms, that if you even mention anything, they would take down your post, or they would ban you or whatever the case is. So it's like, I don't see these social platforms denying or banning these people that are protesting against Israel on it. And like I said, I'm neutral on it. It's none of my business. So you're out there, and if all these social platforms are allowing you to put that content on their platform, then you know that's all screwed up, right? You know it's all screwed up. If they're allowing these protests to be on there, then you know something's awry, man. You know something's fishy. They're just taking over where the BLM and the Antifa crowd left off, and all this stuff. I just don't get it. I don't understand why these people are doing. You're not out there protesting the U.S. government saying we're done giving money to all these countries, all these other people. We're done with that. You cannot take our money that we pay for taxes because we're paying to keep the lights on. You shouldn't be allowed to just give away our money to other people's countries. And I know you have to have foreign, partnerships and stuff. I get that. But where were you protesters when it came to wearing that thing over your face, putting that thing in your arm, taking away our Fifth and Second Amendment rights, all this stuff? Where were you then? Where were you then? And that was on our home soil. That was on the American people. But you guys didn't go out there and protest. And if you did, it was very small. And then you couldn't even protest because, you can't do that. You can't gather. You can't peaceably protest and public gathering and all this stuff. It's like, how crazy has the world gone, man? What the hell? Oh, that's that truck next to me shaking. I'm like, is there something rattling in my truck? But yeah, so I just find it very disgusting that these, and not all the college students are, doing that. I mean, there are some good, with the frat boys or whatever, which is also pretty interesting because what was the group that was Proud Boys or whatever? So now you got the frat boys. So it's following the exact same route or agenda that the other crowds were out there protesting, and then instead of the Proud Boys, now you're going to have the frat boys. And I'm sure YouTube will probably take this video down, give me a strike, and put me in YouTube jail or whatever the case is. But ask yourself some simple questions, man. If you weren't out there protesting for your rights to not wear this and not get that thing in your arm, then shame on you. And now you're out there in force, tearing up college campuses and putting up all these stupid ass, flags and everything else. You're out there protesting for that, but you wouldn't go out there and protest for your own people. How asinine, how ass backwards is that? You're out there protesting for other people's deals, other people's business, other countries' business, but you're not out there for our rights, our business. That just is asinine to me, man. Completely asinine. You people need to wake up, man, and really get with the program, man. So, and they're talking about this Israeli border crossing into Rafah. And like I said, I'm neutral on it. I think that Israel's going into Rafah because they have to eliminate they have to eliminate the threat from Hamas to go into Israel from that part of their country. They need to eliminate that threat, because if they don't, they're going to literally have, a three-sided front, because they have the ocean on the one side, and you got it coming from Gaza or the Egyptian border, and then you have it coming from Lebanon. I mean, you have it coming from all angles. So they have to, I would imagine they would have to eliminate that threat, being that it's the smallest threat from Hamas, from that side of the border or that side of their country. They have to eliminate the weakest threat first, because then that's you really, I mean, yeah, you're still going to have have security on that side, but you're not getting attacked from all these other fronts. So eventually they have to eliminate smaller threats, and then they'll focus on the larger ones later. So I'm not, we're in some trying times, man. And if you're not prepared, if you are not prepared, and nukes will never be used. Nukes are not going to be used. People are saying, oh, the Canadian Prepper and New York Prepper and Full Spectrum News and all these other, prepping channels or whatever, they're saying, nukes, beyond the, I mean, we should always be aware, nukes are used as a threat, not a commitment. And if they're literally looking, I think they truly are looking to take over the U.S., if you're looking to take over another country, are you going to contaminate the soil, the water, the people, everything else with a nuke? No, absolutely not, because you want to occupy that area. So nukes are not going to be used. They are a threat, not a commitment. And if they're going to do anything, it would definitely be a nuke in the higher altitude in the atmosphere to create an EMP. So then us people can eliminate ourselves, because there won't be water, there won't be fuel, there will be no electricity. Though, they will basically hit us with an EMP, or we will hit another country with an EMP. Let the civilians eliminate themselves while they sit back and we do all their dirty work, and then they'll just ride on in and take control. So, this is getting really, really bad. And if you guys do not have even an extra, some sort of food, some sort of extra food or water filtration, or, one of those things, if you don't have those, man, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. You are going to be in a lot of trouble. And people, that asinines are saying, oh, why would you want to live through something like that? I'm not saying that, we're preppers because we want to live through that. Yeah, it'd be nice to live. However, I can control the way that we go on to heaven. I can choose the way that we go out. And I don't want to see, women being assaulted and, my brother and getting killed or whatever the case is. I'm doing this because I could choose. I choose the way that I go out. But if you're not prepared, man, you need to get prepared. You need to get prepared, because it is definitely coming. Nobody knows the time. Everybody, it just makes me laugh on these prepping channels. These guys that just don't have any military experience or whatever. And I'm not saying that I'm some kind of military strategist or anything, or I have all this military experience, but I can hold my own. And, being in a former combat unit, whatever the case is, what Jason Gilbert, what do they call it? They called the ABCT, the Airborne Battalion Combat Team, was the gold standard. It's just be very aware and stop listening to these stupid ass prepping channels about nukes will not be used, man. Don't get your panties all in a bunch, but be prepared. And like I said, if anything, they're going to do an EMP, and then we'll just do their dirty work. So if you're a protester and you're out there protesting stuff that you have no idea what the hell's going on, and you're protesting for another country, but you have done nothing for your own country, shut the fuck up. And if you want to debate with me, you can call me, 414-477-7845. I'll debate with you. I'll do a live stream and debate with you. I'm not that way. Anyways, please like and subscribe to the channel. Ciao.